Hey guys, you're about to hear the story of Amy. For 8 years, Amy danced in exotic nightclubs right here in this area, and God delivered her in a powerful way. I want you to hear this interview because I want it to challenge your perspective on how you view women. And the hope from this is that this will challenge and encourage you to stay pure. Hey, thank you so much for being with us today, Amy, and I really appreciate you sharing your story with us. I want to ask you a few questions, and the first question is quickly tell us about your upbringing and how you got into this industry.
Okay. It started, I had a neighbor friend of mine, she waitressed at a strip club, and we were kind of friends, and she had come to me and she knew I was looking for a different job, making more money. I was on my own, trying to support myself by myself. And she said, "You would make a great dancer, you're pretty, you have a great personality, and it's really great money." I was like, I'm not so sure. That doesn't sound like anything I would do. And she kind of talked me into it just to try it out. I was 19 years old. I went in, I was really nervous. So the first thing I did is went to one of the girls. I was underage, obviously, and she was like, "Here, have a drink. It'll relax you. It'll make you more comfortable to be on stage because you're new at this." And I was like, all right. So after the drink kicked in, I felt a little more loose and comfortable and got on stage and had these guys looking at me, staring at me, saying I was pretty, and it felt good to have that kind of attention at first. I hadn't had a lot of that kind of attention growing up as a kid, like my parents telling me I was beautiful or I love you a lot. So to have that from a man figure was a big deal to me. So that's kind of where it started, and it just kind of snowballed from there. It was, I needed a drink to come to work, and then it became, oh, try this. This will make you feel even more relaxed, and then I needed cocaine and other drugs to help relax me, to come to work, and feel comfortable being naked in front of all these men.
How did you view men, and how did they make you feel about yourself?
In the beginning, it was kind of nice to have the attention, but then I started to realize this wasn't the kind of attention that I wanted. It became more like they looked at me like I was a piece of meat. I felt like I was just being used for my body and my looks. I started to get depressed, so I started using drugs more to suffice for the way it made me feel to go to work, for the depression I was going through. I started looking at men like they were pigs, like they only wanted one thing from a woman. I have married men come in, either with a wedding ring still on or a tan line, men that have families. Doctors, lawyers. It wasn't just your average man. Men that you would think would have morals walk right through that door and just treat you like you're a piece of meat, like you're nothing, to them, like they're just using you for that fantasy. You know what I mean?
I know you mentioned earlier that you got into a lot of drugs. Tell me, why is it that so many girls get into drugs in this industry?
Mainly because it's not what we're meant to do. It's not what we were created to do. We're pure, we're women of God, but we start to not look at ourselves like that. We don't think of ourselves like that. We feel we have no self-worth. We feel bad about what we're doing because it is bad. So you have to use those drugs and alcohol to kind of suppress those feelings and just to feel numb about what's going on. I don't think that there's one girl I ever worked with that was sober when she did it. And I'd have girls, actually, me myself, after lap dances that we had done, go back to the dressing room and just cry. And we would hold each other, because it was just something that, it tears your soul apart. It's a horrible feeling, and then it's like, for after a while of using the drugs, then you become addicted to those drugs. And then you're there dancing to make money just to provide for your drugs. So all that big money that you think you're making is just going to your habit then. And we never saved a penny of it. No stripper could ever save money. That was like the big thing. It's impossible to save any kind of money because it's going to your habit, or you're gonna go and use it on something to make yourself feel better because you don't feel whole at all. It totally steals your soul. It's like the devil goes in and just takes your soul away from you.
Now, I know that the world makes guys think that this kind of sexual exploitation, whether it be pornography or exotic nightclub dancing, the world tells us that this is a fantasy worth pursuing. You know, with you being in this industry, tell us, what are the realities of this world?
It is extremely all smoke and curtains. None of us look like that when we wake up in the morning, when we walk around the real world, when we go to the grocery store. None of us look like that. None of us act like that. It's a fantasy that you will never get. We do that to make the money. You know, we say things, we act a certain way because that's what we know you want in that sense. You know what I mean? And pornography, pictures are photoshopped. You know what I mean? Nobody looks like that and really acts like that. You know, we don't want to be doing that. We do that for the money. And some girls' self-esteems are so low that they do that just to have that want of another person to want them, even though they know it's in the wrong way. They still crave that need to feel wanted by a man. You know, then that's why they crave that bad attention, because they don't know how to get the good attention. You know, none of that's real. It's just like a movie or on Broadway. It's all smoke and curtains. It really is.
And now we get to kind of hear the exciting part. Tell us your story. Tell us how you met Jesus and how you got out of the nightclubs.
Oh, wow. Okay. I had come to kind of a crossroads. I had developed a relationship with Jesus, but it was there, but I knew there was something more that I could have with him, and I just didn't know how to get it. With that being said, I was in a relationship, and, you know, it was we were arguing a lot, you know, and I kind of wanted to do my own thing and try to be independent. Well, the only way I knew how to be independent and live on my own was by dancing, you know, because of the money. And at this point, I'm sober. I've had sobriety now. So I'm thinking, okay, I can go back and I can dance, and I'm not going to be spending my money on drugs, and maybe I can do it sober this time, you know? So I call one of the girls from one of the clubs I used to work at, and I say, hey, you know, how's business there? Do you think I could come back? And she knew I was in recovery, and she says, but Amy, aren't you in recovery now? How are you going to come back and stay sober in a strip club? That's like impossible. It's insane. And I was like, I know, but I want to be out on my own, and this is the only way I know how to be independent at that point. And she goes, well, don't you remember that lady that used to come to the strip clubs and try to save us and give us gifts and just love on us and tell us that there was another way? And I was like, yeah, I remember her. Why are you bringing her up? I'm trying to come back to work, you know? And she says, why don't you give her a call first? And then if, you know, you want to take a different route, call me back. And I was like, okay, let me just try it. So I called her and she didn't answer, and I left her a message telling her who I was, telling her, you know, I was looking for a different way. Could she be of some help to me? And as I was looking at my phone, ready to Google the phone number to the club I used to work at, she called me. And I'm looking at my phone going, who is this? And I answered it, and it was Pastor Jeannie. And I sat with her on the phone for quite a while and told her kind of my situation, where I was at, and I was thinking about going back to dancing because it's all I knew how to support myself and to be an independent woman. And she says, no, baby, there's a different way. And we talked. I came in and sat down with her and talked to her and basically laid my whole life out to her and told her, this is what I want to do, and I don't know how to do it. Can you please help me? And that was humbling in itself, because it's hard for a woman to ask for help who has been doing it on her own the wrong way and doesn't know how. And she just welcomed me with open arms, put her arms around me, loved me, brought me to Jesus, helped me strengthen my relationship with Jesus. Through her and her ministry, I have become such a new woman, like born into Christ. I wake up in the morning thinking to myself, is this life really real? Like, is this my life? I get to live this life every day. It's surreal to me sometimes, but it's only by the grace of God that I'm here today to help other people not take that route, you know?
Now, what would you say to challenge the young men who are watching this video right now?
I would say that the men that I got to see in the strip clubs, the broken families, the husbands that come in there crying to us because they lost our wives because they were in the strip clubs, or looking at porn at home and get caught by their wives and they're so upset about it. You know, like, that's not the man we want. We want a godly man. You know, we want, you know, at one point in time, those men used to be middle school and high school boys, and they got curious and they just let the devil run with that and take them to pornographic websites, to the magazines, then to the strip clubs. It all starts with something just so small as being curious about it. You know, what we want that fairy tale man. We want that man that walks with God. We want a man that's sensitive to us, that understands us, that we're not worried about he's going to run off to someone else that's cheating on us, you know. We want that kind of man, that man of God, you know, and it starts off right now with you guys. I just want to say, I have an 11-year-old daughter, and you guys are going to be the guys. You know, she's going to be one of dating and maybe marry one day, you know. So I just want to pray for you guys right now that you don't open those doors, that you don't, you know, get curious and tempt yourself with all that evil, because that's what it is. It's just the devil trying to creep into your spirit. Just, I pray that you guys don't let that happen. I pray that Jesus is always in your heart and you never let him out or shut him out. In Jesus' name I pray for you. Amen.